Wankers, I'm here back another custom review. And today we look at the Transformers Generations Nest Recon Ironhide. So here he is in his vehicle mode, but of course, let's take a quick look at the paints. First off, we have some semi-gloss clear. Focus a little bit. Focus at all, come on. Come on. Why don't you want to focus? Here we go. Some TS29 semi-gloss black. Some X18 semi-gloss black. Chrome silver. Copper. Some sky blue. Lemon yellow. Some royal blue, and finally some Right Dymore synthetic graphite. So here he is in his truck mode, and this is meant to be based on the Revenge of the Fallen Recon Ironhide toy, which is like this was the retool of the original toy, with like all the huntery stuff on it, which of course I couldn't do a lot of that with this one, but I think the vibe of it just kind of fit anyways. Like, take the back, like, this was Trailbreaker, the Earthrise version, and I took off the back piece, so we had, like, the weapons out at all times. Just sort of reminiscent to the guns on top. Got the nice bumper here with a lot of yellow. This took forever. These yellow details took forever to just hand paint in. Some blue trim right around here. And then, of course, all of the kind of, what is this, tattoo, camouflage, something deco he's got on the truck. Then I painted around these silver. I think it looks quite lovely. I did also, the spray paint was actually me spraying most of the truck, so like this whole piece and then these pieces I had actually spray painted with the black so they'd be a consistent color. Because this was already painted because it's clear plastic. The only bits of the original color left from the vehicle mode is that panel there, and then this. But Recon Ironhide had this like brownish black color on him anyway, so I think it all works. It all just kind of blends together pretty well. But yeah, I mean, you can still have the Earthrise shield thing on here if you want, but then it's just Trailbreaker doing some weird stuff for Halloween. Like he'd just be doing some weirdness. But I mean, this is very Trailbreaker anyway. There's even that whole theory that Ironhide was meant to be Trailbreaker in the movies because everyone else got like the G1 deco, but Ironhide was blue, kind of like Trailbreaker's Diaclone colors. But that's a whole thing. I don't even know if that theory still holds up at all these days. But anyways, that is pretty much it for the truck mode. So let's go ahead and get him into his robot mode. And here in the robot mode, he is very, very dark. Like Bay vs. Ironhide tends to be. But as you can see, like I said, it is still Trailbreaker. With a lot of similar paint apps. Like I left the silver here on the legs. I did paint this little bit on the foot. Just add a little bit of something. Dyed these black. These were, I believe, red, I want to say. And now these pieces, these and the thighs and the forearms, I wanted to actually dye dark gray because they were already gray. So I got not graphite, it was like frost gray, I think, to try to do it, and it just didn't work. Most of the time I try to dye something a color other than just black, it doesn't work. But I don't mind the color they ended up either. It's kind of like this super dull red to just like a weird shade of black. It's just kind of like I don't know, I still think it works well enough, and it cuts down on anything like chipping, because I'm pretty sure that these arms would definitely chip if I painted them. Speaking of paint on the arms, there's a little bit up here on the shoulder. This mold does not have a ton of areas to paint. And then that royal blue was something I tried to make work, but it sort of failed. The best place you can see it was on the front of the truck. But there's also like a little bit here in the leg. There's some here on the waist. There's some here in the arm. Like it's like this accent color the original toy has, but I couldn't really get it to work here all that well. Sorry. Like I said, there's just not a lot of spaces to paint on this. Like, I want to add stuff to the arms, but all I could really do is just paint around the side with some silver. Okay. a little bit piece of intrigue here is the head, which is the Legacy United Chase head, which is funny because I used the rest of that toy for a Bayverse custom, and the head, a year later, ends up on another Bayverse custom. I was trying to figure out a head to use for Ironhide, so my first thought was I was going to use Siege Ironhide's head, because I have like a G1-ish kind of vibe to it anyway, so I was like, whatever. Way too big. Way too big. And I tried to make it work, and I just ended up screwing up the head. And so we looked in the bucket again, and I saw Chase's head, and I kind of thought I had a few similarities, you know, like a vague mouth shape. Has like the circles on the side, the little antenna on the sides. I was like, I could probably make it work. So I sanded down the antenna a little bit so I can fit with transformation, and I repainted it. So I have some of the details of that Ironhide's head, and I kind of paint the little chin thing to sort of have Ironhide's mouth shape. And then the eyes, there's still the visor there, but I just kind of painted the eyes themselves to have like a distance between them. I think it works for the most part. I don't have a custom head. I have to try harder a little bit here to make it work, but I think it actually turned out pretty well. I like the bit of ingenuity on this custom, which of course this idea is sort of inspired by ID Arms' Bayverse Ironhide custom, and those Bayverse customs he did a year or so ago. Now, in terms of weapons, this toy and design is known for having this arsenal of weapons, like a crossbow, rifles, knives, his regular armaments. I don't have all that. Sorry. But what I do have is 2 Siege Hound guns, painted black with some silver. Definitely not nearly as cool. I tried, okay? I tried my best. They plug in very tightly to the arms. I wonder if it's from the dyeing process or if they were just kind of always like this. I think they were actually just always like that. So as those, I am going to try to find some better guns at some point. Like I'm eyeing like the Prime Cup guns because those are basically just like Ironhide's weapons. I think that'd be cool on this if I can get my hands on some. And the toy's cheap enough, I might just buy the toy, but then what am I going to do with Cup? I don't need them. But yeah, I also have 2 mainline Rise of the Beast Optimus rifles that I thought I'd give him for the fun of it. He needs some extra guns. Come on now. It is his whole thing. And then I guess if you want, we can just take these on his back and flip them back up. But I think that looks really dumb. You can do it, but it looks kind of dumb. At least with this design, because like the head, like this gun is way too close to his head, and then if this thing shoots, it's going to take out his own head. One of those barrels is hitting him, guaranteed. So I keep them as vehicle mode weapons. And then for one more fun little comparison, let's bring him in here with his enemy, because each of the customs, there's going to be 3 Autobots and 3 Decepticons. And I've designated each a little rival. And his is Bludgeon. Bludgeon looks so short. He looks less bulky than Ironhide. It's okay, Bludgeon's nimble. And, you know, they had their episode of cyber missions where, you know, Ironhide hunted Bludgeon in the jungle, you know. They got some connective tissue there, I guess. They got beef. But, yeah. I did think about doing the mod here, but since the mod can be messy, I didn't want to risk messing up the toy, I decided to just leave it. So, sorry. Forget the clearance issues on this toy. It's really bad. Earthrise, man. Like, just Earthrise. So glad we're past this very dark period of Transformers toy engineering. But, yeah. Overall, I do still like this custom. And since I mentioned a little other idea in every single one of these videos, I don't think I mentioned one in Megatron's, but all the other ones, I thought about doing the blue version of this idea. If you didn't know, Hunt for Decepticons did their own Recon Ironhide, where kind of like the 07 toy, like I mentioned earlier, there's connective tissue. It's like poetry, it rhymes. They made a blue one where instead of it being like the instead of the camouflagey color, it was just like dirt. But I think this one, I had a spare Earthrise Trailbreaker, so it all just kind of worked out. Anyways, that is pretty much all I have to say. So please be sure to check out my channel for more video and custom reviews. So please be sure to subscribe. You can also come check out my Facebook and Twitter pages. Links in the description below. And this is the 14th Prime, signing out.